Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Frank Warren has continued to add to his heavyweight stable, which is really bursting with riches at heavyweight right now, having signed Fabio Wardley. So you can see here, Fabio Wardley in the press release announcing that he's joined Queensbury. So we'll go through this and then a little bit of the potential what next, because as you may be aware, he is confirmed to fight Frazer Clarke next. That will be on the Beterbiev-Bivol card coming up in a couple of months. So win, lose or draw, Queensbury see a lot of value in the career of Fabio Wardley and they're committing to him. So they've obviously got plans either win or lose against Frazer Clarke. As we know, the first fight was a draw, so you also can't rule that one out. So in terms of this press release, what we'll do, we'll go straight down to the comments. So Wardley, he says, at this stage in my career, aligning myself with the best promoter is crucial, and I couldn't be in better hands than with Frank and George, referring to Frank Warren's son, George Warren, as well. Seeing the massive fights and shows that Queensbury have put together over the past few years has me really excited about the future and what we can achieve together. You have Frank Warren saying, the heavyweight division could not be more exciting at the moment, and Fabio has already shown himself to be a serious part of that with some real standout performances. Fabio understandably has had a lot of offers on the table, and I could not be more pleased that he has chosen Queensbury to promote his career at such a pivotal time. He has a huge rematch in October, and once he comes through that, I truly believe he's ready to challenge anyone in the top 10. And Wardley's manager, Michael Offo, says, it's fantastic to have Frank Warren and Queensbury on board promoting Fabio. Over the last few years, they have promoted nearly every single major heavyweight fight. We look forward to being involved in some massive nights with them over the coming years. As we know, Fabio Wardley, 29 years old, a record of 17-0 with one draw, soon to face Frazer Clarke in their rematch. That is on one of the Saudi cards. And this is where there is the potential for, it's not just within the Warren stable he could have matchups, but it's further afield at the moment. You've got promoters working together with the Saudi money greasing the wheels. Wardley on a social media also adds, seeing the massive fights and shows that Queensbury have put together over the past few years has me really excited about the future and what we can achieve together. Also on X, retweeting that, and also a number of different comments from fight fans. So he's excited about this move, and I guess you would say it's slightly unusual that it's been announced just a couple of days after the Frazer Clarke fight was confirmed. But I guess there's no bad time to announce when you will be signing with a new promoter, new deal, all that sort of stuff. In terms of the stable he's joining, it is stacked with heavyweights. So you can see here, you've got Tyson Fury, Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker, Zhang Jilei, Joe Joyce, Derek Chisora, also now Fabio Wardley, Moses Itoma, David Adelaide, and Solomon Dakers. So that's 10 pretty good heavyweights. You have 4 in the top 10, and obviously other guys who've been fighting in recent years at a good level, like Joe Joyce and also Derek Chisora. Not so long ago, Joyce was considered part of that top 10. He's sort of fallen off now, but obviously this could be a potential fight for Wardley in the future. Joyce is starting to look like he's on the decline. The durability not as good and just not looking quite right. So if he was to either win or lose against Frazer Clarke, whatever the outcome, I think a possible Joe Joyce fight, that could make some sense. Especially if he wins, that could make a lot of sense. You've also got Derek Chisora there. If the Saudis are putting up the money or a decent chunk of it, would Chisora face a rising Fabio Wardley if he dealt to Frazer Clarke in the rematch? It's possible. I think Chisora might be looking for a more high-profile name, but if Wardley comes through that in good fashion, he's basically fought the who's who within the domestic scene. You've also got Moses Itoma there. I guess, you could say if Wardley lost to Clarke and was stopped and knocked out, maybe if he's on that schedule, potentially in a few fights, if Moses Itoma comes through, develops, looking good, there could be a Moses Itoma and Fabio Wardley fight down the line. If he was coming off a loss, who's to say you wouldn't get a David Adelaide rematch, or potentially Solomon Dakers? You know, Dakers was part of that sort of Fabio Wardley, David Adelaide, Frazer Clarke, Solomon Dakers, a quartet of guys who were sort of on or about the same level for a time, but Wardley and Clarke seem to have separated themselves. But Wardley's already beaten Adelaide. That was a good fight. Dakers, that would be, I think, a fight he would also win. So there are options. I think the top four guys, in that stable are sort of above where Wardley is fighting at the current moment, and probably a few fights away from that. But it's not to say he can't get there if he continues to improve. But that's just this stable and potential options within this stable. You know, you've got other names that if they're looking to make some fights for Fabio Wardley, win, lose or draw against Frazer Clarke going forward, you know, there are that sort of next level where, you know, of international heavyweights where the Saudis could potentially make it happen. You could have the likes of Otto Wallin, Jermaine Franklin. There's certainly plenty of names floating around. Kevin Lorena. There are names, Hemia Hill. You could make a number of different fights depending on where the card is and what you're looking to do. And Wardley, he's a big puncher, he's athletic, he's still developing, a little bit raw still, but obviously he's going to sort of, you'd hope, smooth some of these rough edges out in the coming couple of years. But he's coming, I think, into the best part of his career, and this, I think, is a good move for him. And Frank Warren's been at the heart of these cards in recent years with the Saudis, and Warren has elevated his own stable in the last couple of years. And there was a time where the heavyweight stable for Frank Warren, not so long ago, 5 or 6 years ago, was not looking that deep. But, you know, these 10 heavyweights, this is a very, very good stable of heavyweights at this point in time. And Warren just in general has been, I think, had a very good few years. You cannot deny that. I know that there's people who love to, you know, sort of play the different promoters off against each other. I mean, sometimes they're up, sometimes they're down, but Warren has had a pretty good time of it of late. So Fabio Wardley joining Queensbury, I think it's a good move for him in his career. And obviously with it being a long-term deal, Queensbury, despite if he lost against Frazer Clarke, is saying to Fabio Wardley, we are in the Fabio Wardley business, win, lose or draw, and we've got plans for you. Maybe those plans can deviate depending on the result against Clarke, but still they've got a use for him, and they can see that he can go places and be in some good fights. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.